Hello everyone, I am Kenshin, welcome to History Talk. Today's history mystery is CIA's eternal shame, the Russian The Thing. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications, thank you. Many foolish officials from the Chinese Communist Party always manage not to disappoint with all different kinds of jokes that only someone brainless could think of. This should not surprise anyone. From a rogue regime whose top leader only has primary school education, to expect reasonable action would be surprising, right? You should have recently noticed some movements from the PLA. However, what comes to my mind is a move of even lower intelligence. What is it? Let's see how it goes. According to a 2022 report in the Jerusalem Post in Israel, the Chinese embassy in Israel once gave the Israeli government officials a batch of thermal mugs, with one of which suspected to have a bug inside. The investigation was taken over by the Israeli Security Agency. They have collected all the mugs given by the Chinese and are investigating them further, without returning them to the Chinese embassy in Israel. This move could be said to keep them as evidence, to circumvent what the subordinates of Xi Jinping are good at: destroying evidence and then categorically denying it. To be honest, this method is way too foolish and low-level. Even the espionage methods from the last century were more sophisticated. Are the China's espionage experts at primary school level? Here, I recommend Xi Jinping and his officials learn a thing or two from your Russian sugar daddy on how to invent a bugging device that not even the American CIA can crack. Let's go back 89 years, to November 16, 1933, the day the Soviet Union and the United States officially established diplomatic relations. From then on, Putin's KGB agents never stopped eavesdropping and surveillance on the US Embassy in the Soviet Union. 5 years later, in 1938, in order to better grasp the internal information of the US Embassy, they secretly released the Swallows. These spies, trained by the KGB and disguised as ballet dancers of the National Ballet Theatre, easily infiltrated the bedrooms of American diplomats with the help of their attractive appearance. It doesn't end here. Soviet female soldiers responsible for guarding the embassy building were also trying to seduce American gentlemen in the hope of gaining intelligence. After some effort, these swallows finally found out that the top floor of the American embassy building was where the key points lay, because it was where the conference room, military officer room, secret report room, and ambassador's office were located. After the end of the Tehran conference in 1943, Stalin ordered KGB leader Beria to spy on the office of U.S. Ambassador Averell Harriman, at all costs and by all means necessary, in order to gain the most crucial information. This led to Beria and his team brainstorming how to effectively bug the secret information on the top floor of the embassy. On December 17 of the same year, Beria reported to Stalin that the bugging equipment specially designed for the U.S. Embassy had passed its tests successfully. Its performance was unparalleled, and its effectiveness astonishing. This special bug was named The Thing, and the operation to place it in the U.S. Ambassador's office was named Operation Gold. It was so advanced for its time that it did not need a battery or external electricity to work, rendering all anti-eavesdropping equipment at the time completely unable to catch any signals emitted. The man who invented The Thing was not a scientist, nor an employee of the KGB. He was forced to invent it. His name was Leon Theremin. He was internationally renowned for inventing the revolutionary electronic instrument bearing his name, the theremin, unique in that it can be played without being touched. He once lived in the US with his wife. In 1938, he returned to the Soviet Union, though later his wife claimed that he was kidnapped, which is, he was brought back to the Soviet Union by the KGB. Regardless of the truth, once he was back in the Soviet Union, he was immediately put into a prison camp, where he was forced to design The Thing and other eavesdropping devices. This eavesdropping device is simple yet ingenious. It only connects an antenna to a hole and covers the surface with a silver diaphragm to serve as a microphone. The entire device doesn't have a battery and does not need to be powered externally to function. From the outside, it looks like a tadpole with a tail and is extremely easy to hide. It can receive microwave pulses emitted by high-power oscillators within 300 meters and transform them into the necessary power for its own operation. Because it doesn't need a battery or external electricity, it is impossible for the anti-eavesdropping equipment of the time to capture any signals, making its working life limitless, as if it possesses cheat codes. The Thing, standing for the world's top-level bugging device, greatly helped the KGB's eavesdropping operations. How did the Soviet agents use The Thing to eavesdrop on the US Embassy? First, they installed a microwave oscillator and battery at the top of a building opposite the US Embassy, and all the residents inside were replaced with KGB agents. Every Sunday, female agents would shake out and air their carpets and bedding on the balcony, naturally scattering The Thing, which looked like dust, into the courtyard of the US Embassy. It's one thing to scatter it outside the embassy, but it's a whole other level of difficulty to place it in the ambassador's office. Considering that the United States was 100% cautious about the Soviet Union, one can imagine the difficulty in placing it. However, the KGB managed to do this. How did they manage it? In the end, the KGB figured that having the ambassador place it himself would be the best solution. But how could they do this? The answer was to put the bugging device in a gift and give it to the US ambassador. The challenge was that this gift had to be suitable for accommodating The Thing, could not arouse suspicion from the ambassador and had to gain his acceptance. And it had to be appropriate to be placed in his office. This wasn't an easy accomplishment either. The final answer was to embed The Thing into an emblem of the United States, made from an exquisite selection of precious woods including rosewood, boxwood, red fir, soft brown, Bosporus parrotwood, mahogany, and blackwood. The next challenge was how to deliver this gift to the US ambassador. On February 9, 1945, the Soviet Union announced the opening ceremony of the All-Soviet Pioneer Fitness Camp on the shores of the Black Sea, extending an invitation in the name of the Soviet pioneer members to President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill to thank them for their help to the Soviet people during the war. Naturally, neither the US President nor the British Prime Minister could respond to the invitation, and it wasn't suitable for other officials to attend in their stead. The most appropriate candidates were the ambassadors to the Soviet Union from both countries. As planned by the KGB agents, the then US Ambassador Harriman and his British counterpart rushed from Moscow to the Black Sea to attend the ceremony. As the band played the American national anthem, sung in English by the Soviet pioneer members, Ambassador Harriman let down his guard amidst the singing. What follows was a meticulously prepared sequence. 4 Soviet pioneer members carried the giant wooden emblem of the United States up to Ambassador Harriman, as the Soviet interpreter explained the exquisiteness of the emblem to the guests. The craftsmanship indeed won the admiration of Ambassador Harriman, who exclaimed, "My God! I hardly believe it's real. Where would it be best placed?" The interpreter quietly advised Harriman, "Hang it in your office, the Brits will go mad with jealousy." Who would have thought that this finely crafted wooden emblem was actually a bugging device, which would be activated by radio waves transmitted by the Soviets to the US Embassy and send information back via the received signals. When the radio signal stopped, The Thing also ceased to operate. Therefore, many American secrets were leaked, disgracing the highly reputable CIA. From 1945 to 1951, the KGB's spying operation on the US Embassy in the Soviet Union, code-named Spontaneous, lasted for 8 years. During this period, 4 US ambassadors came and went. Every new ambassador replaced everything in the office from ink bottles to the floor with new ones, except for this emblem of the United States. Its artistic beauty was so appreciated by the American ambassadors that one of them even changed the color scheme of the office curtains and furniture to match this emblem. But even the strongest bugging device has a day of exposure. In 1953, the CIA finally discovered The Thing, but never publicized this humiliation. It wasn't until May 1960, after the Soviet Union shot down the American U-2 high-altitude reconnaissance plane piloted by Powers, that Washington finally revealed the secret of The Thing. It was the then U.S. representative to the United Nations, Cabot, who took the intricate American emblem and, The Thing, to a meeting of the permanent members of the Security Council for all to see. Surprisingly, in the decades that followed, American and British agents repeatedly attempted to unravel the technical secrets of The Thing, but all attempts ended in failure. Today, The Thing can be seen on exhibition in the CIA Museum in the United States. This technology is everywhere around.